Good afternoon and welcome to Ask Angelika episode 14. Good afternoon, Angelika.
Good afternoon, Stephen, and everybody else.
Right, now Angelika specialises in German tuition and translation, and this weekly show is your chance to ask questions. But first of all, we always start with a topic. And today's topic is Learn German with Modern Literature, and I'm going to take my signals from Angelika as you begin to talk about it.
Okay, well, the title Learn German with Modern Literature is actually the title of a book. And I'll show you quickly. Oh, where's the camera? There we are. That is the book. A little bit of background to the book. A German author called Matthias Drave has written a book about the time in West Berlin during the 1980s. And he wrote that in German. That was his, oh, where's the camera again? There's the German book, and it was called Wilde Jahre in West Berlin. And because he's lived in New York for quite a long time, he's also written the book in English as well, which was then called Wild Years in West Berlin. So he then, this year, he decided this could actually be a really good teaching aid, or no, not so much a teaching aid, a learning aid. So he combined those two books and called it Learn German with Modern Literature. And it's an absolutely fantastic book because it has got both stories. I don't think I could show it to you. I don't think it will come across. But on the left-hand side is the English text, and on the right-hand side is the German text. Now, if you're at all interested in the early 80s in West Berlin, where a lot of houses there were lots of squatters in the houses, and there were problems with the police. And actually, if I read the blurb here, that's probably the easiest. We are in a squatted house in West Berlin in the early 80s. Every day is a battle against the elements. The cops locking out for drugs, a bunch of skinheads smashing windows. Or it's Frau Steinmüller again, the lovely neighbor from across the street. And so it carries on. So it's a lovely read. I have read the German book and really enjoyed it. And then Matthias Drave told me about the bilingual edition. Not only that, I was allowed to write a blog post about it, and he said 5 people can win a copy. And they can 5 people. He will send, yes, 5 people. He will send 5 paperback copies. Look how thick it is.
It is. It's a substantial book.
It is a very substantial book. 5 of those copies he will send to whoever wins it. In order to win it, all you have to do is pop over to my blog and write a comment, even if you're just saying, yes, please, can I win one? And on Easter Monday, we will do the draw. And then 5 people will get notification that they have won. Now, when I published my blog post, somebody read it and on Twitter asked me, who's this book for? Is this beginners, intermediate, advanced? And my first reply was, well, it is really sort of for intermediates and advanced. It is a German book, so it's not written really, really easy for German learners. It was a book aimed at German people. But then the more I looked at the book, the more I thought about it, and I thought, well, actually, anybody could read the book. A beginner, for example, might just want to read the English bit. So just enjoy an English book, and gradually, as the German improves, they could look at the German bits as well. Or they could use it as a vocabulary aid. For example, they could read, while they're reading the English one, and I'm just trying to find the right page now. I have put bookmarks in here, but that doesn't mean I can find the right pages.
They'll be there somewhere. There's no rush. Whilst you're actually looking for it, and give me a signal when you found it.
Okay.
For everybody who's watching, thank you. If you want to share this, please do. And if you've got any comments or questions at all about the German language or about the book or about the blog competition in which 5 people can win a copy of the book, then please just post on Facebook. We'll see the post here on BeLive.tv and we can take it from there. Back to you.
Right. So a beginner, somebody really at the early stages of learning German, could be reading the book in English and maybe every so often think, oh, I wonder what that word is in German, or actually I think I may know. So for example, a really basic sentence, it was cold.
Okay.
It was cold. So that person is then going to look over onto the German side and will find es war kalt. So what do you think the word for cold is?
I'm going to come on screen and I'm going to say that I think the word for cold is kalt.
Exactly. So a beginner may already know some weather words and think, oh, I recognize that one. That's cool. Or they may just like the word. I've chosen another sentence, a slightly more difficult one. A police line separated the squatters from the house. Now, you may be an absolute beginner, but you may think, oh, I wonder what squatters is in German, because maybe you just like reading about squatters. So you move across to the German bit and you find the sentence, eine Polizeikette schirmte die Besetzer vom Haus ab. So which of those words, yeah, do you want to translate everything or just find the word for squatters?
I'm going to go, eine Polizeikette schirmte die Besetzer. And I'm going to say that Besetzer is the word for squatters.
Exactly. So Besetzer is the word for squatters, and Polizeikette, Kette actually is a chain, but in this case, it's actually the police line.
Right.
So that gives you a bit of an idea what this book is about. Yeah, which I think is quite nice. So as a beginner, people could read the English bit and find for the German. Another idea you could just do as a beginner is just look for words you recognize. Maybe read the story in English and then see which words you recognize. If you have got the paper copy, maybe even highlight them, put the book away, come back in a few months later and see how many more words you can highlight in the book. I'll give you another text now once I've found it. Right, okay. Another sentence from a different page now. She did not understand her own secret language. Well, secret language sounds interesting. I mean, I had a secret language as a young child, and I think a lot of us had. And so, or maybe not, I don't know. So thinking like, oh, I wonder what secret language is in German. So again, you could go over to the German bit and you find the sentence, sie verstand ihre eigene Geheimsprache nicht.
Sie verstand ihre eigene Geheimsprache nicht. And we're looking for?
Secret language.
Well, I'm going to sense that she did not is sie verstand nicht, but Geheimsprache is the secret language.
Exactly. So Geheimsprache is secret language. So even as a beginner or as an early intermediate, when your German vocabulary isn't that good yet, you may just want to look for interesting words that you find in the English text and think, oh, I'd like to know what it is in German. It saves you looking up in the dictionary. And you may want to write even the whole phrase, or it depends on how good your German is, or even how interested you are in certain bits. Now, somebody who is not a beginner anymore, somebody like you, Stephen.
I sense something coming here.
Now, what could somebody do who's sort of at an intermediate level? Yeah, I mean, actually, if you go back to go to the advanced level first, somebody who's really fluent in German obviously doesn't need the English bits. They could just read the German text, and maybe every so often they may come across a word and they think, not too sure about that one. And the same applies to intermediate ones. You could try either. Read the English text, read the German text, and what we've just done from English to German, you could do from German to English. And the text I found here, this is actually in the S-Bahn in Berlin, and the person who was writing this had a cat in his bag, and the cat was meowing, and one of the grannies who sat opposite him, she wasn't too happy about it. So she said in German, oh, I've got my bookmark on there, that's no good.
Okay, that's fine. No worries. Carry on.
Nehmen Sie doch die Katze aus der Tasche. Das ist ja nicht zum Aushalten.
Well, I'm going to try and say that. Nehmen Sie doch die Katze aus der Tasche. Das ist ja nicht zum Aushalten.
Aushalten.
Aushalten. So I can't read your writing. I know we've typed it out. Right, okay. Right, okay. So there's the German text that's from the book. And on the opposite page, you're getting the English text.
Yes. So the English text was, can't you take her out of the bag? This is heart-wrenching. So the first sentence actually was a literal translation. Nehmen Sie doch die Katze aus der Tasche. Sorry, there was literally a cat in the bag. So the lady is saying, well, why don't you take her out of the bag? So in English, she's saying, can't you take her out of the bag? Now that actually isn't a complete literal translation. The one thing we have got with this book, of course, which you might not have if you go onto Google Translate or a dictionary, sometimes the sentence, if it gets translated word for word, it may be different than the book says, because the book, of course, wants to be good in English as well, because you want to read it. Yeah, and sometimes something that is absolutely accurate as a translation may not be something that we use in English, and so therefore a different sentence may be slightly different, because the English one says, can't you take her out of the bag? Now that's actually a question, whereas in the German one it wasn't a question. In German it was more like a command. Take her out of the bag. Go on, do it.
A more direct approach.
It was a more direct approach, whereas actually in English you would say, oh, come on, be a good sport and take the cat out of the bag. And das ist ja nicht zum Aushalten is almost an idiomatic phrase. So a good translation for that would be, this is heart-wrenching. I have found one more sentence, and I'm hoping that I will actually be able to read it. Because as the story happens in Berlin, sometimes the people there speak in the Berlin accent. And so it means you could come across a sentence which reads, and please, if any Berliners listening now, and I don't get this right, please forgive me, because I'm not from Berlin. Irgendwas muss ich jetzt machen, wa? Sonst werde ich mich schugge, eh? Now,
I can't translate that at all. I don't stand a chance of understanding a word.
As a German learner, the one thing you don't learn is Berlinerisch. You don't actually, in no textbook really mentions any accents. But of course, when you go over to places, you will come across it. So if you did come across this sentence, yeah, you will think, cool, thank goodness we have got the English bit on the other side, which actually is, I need to do something, anything, otherwise I'll go crazy. I'm not sure if Google Translate would have been able to help you with that.
We can check that out later by putting the sentence there and seeing what Google makes of it. But you don't have to do that. You don't have to go to Google. You can just look from one page of the book to the other and you get the translation. Do you think this is this a good way to learn?
I think it's a lovely way. I mean, it's not so much to, it's like I said, it's not a teaching book. It's not teaching you German, but so many people are always looking for other things of how to improve their German. Yeah, they don't want to read a textbook. They don't necessarily want to read a children's book either. So this is a great idea because it is a proper book. It's a proper story. When he wrote the first German version, it was for sale on Amazon, or it still is, of course, as a book for Germans to read about Berlin in the 80s. There wasn't even a thought about using it as a teaching aid. So instead of having a teaching aid where there may be simplified vocabulary, or where there is you know, all the topics that you always get in teaching books and that, which are important for people to learn German. But this is a real book, but you have got the extra help of having the English text next to it. And I think if you are interested in Berlin in the 80s, that's an extra bonus then.
It is an extra bonus. And as an extra bonus, as we've covered the topic that you chose for today, which was, well, essentially people can win a copy of this book, can't they?
Yes.
How do they win?
How do they win? If they can go to my blog, which that particular post is called Learn German with Modern Literature. It's the latest one I've written. All they have to do is comment on it. So even if I just say, yes, please, I'd like to win. And on Monday, I will put all those names in a drawer and I will film the draw so that nobody can say I've cheated. And 5 people will win this copy, and then they will hear from me, because obviously we will need their addresses so that Matthias can send them the books.
Wonderful. Now the link is below the post on Facebook. So you just click that link, go to the blog, work your way through the blog, and then just make a comment, and you are automatically in the draw. Did you want to hold the book up again?
I will hold the book up again.
And down a bit, left a bit. Bullseye. Okay, Learn German with Modern Literature is the title. I'm just going to put that on screen again. Thank you, Angelika. And there we are. Learn German with Modern Literature.
And just to add as well, because obviously the competition is only on for another week, and we do the draw on Easter Monday. If anybody watches this video afterwards, I'm afraid you're a bit late, but the book is of course also for sale. In my blog post, I've put links to a couple of Amazon pages or Amazon sites where you could buy the paperback. You can also buy it as a Kindle book. He has put it out as a Kindle book. The Kindle book is slightly different because, of course, in the Kindle we don't have pages as such. So you can't really read one page and switch all the time. So in the Kindle, he's got it as one paragraph after the other. So slightly different format, but that is also available.
Wonderful.
But for this week, try and win one.
Indeed. And also, our bonus is your German language tuition group, which is called?
You mean the Facebook one? Ask Angelika.
Yes. Ask Angelika. And you're heading towards 100 members now?
I think we have 100. I'm not sure.
See, I'm out of touch. Over 100 people are learning German by joining the Ask Angelika group on Facebook. Just type in Ask Angelika and you'll find the group. If you want to learn more about German language and Germany and have your questions answered by Angelika, then all you need to do is join the group. Now, this broadcast goes out every 2 weeks. Angelika and I'll be back in 2 weeks' time. And Angelika, would you like to do the wrap up and say thank you to everybody who's watched?
Okay, well, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening about Learn German with Modern Literature. Just a reminder again, that's the book you can win, although actually that is my copy. You're not winning that one. And I look forward to speaking to you again in 2 weeks' time. And it's Tschüss von mir.
Und Tschüss von mir. Bis später. We'll see you all again in 2 weeks' time. Take care and enjoy learning German. Goodbye for now.
Today is a battle against the elements. The cops locking out for drugs, a bunch of skinheads smashing windows, or it's Frau Steinmüller again, the lovely neighbor from across the street. And so it carries on. So it's a lovely read. I have read the German book and really enjoyed it. And then Matthias Drave told me about the bilingual edition. Not only that, I was allowed to write a blog post about it, and he said 5 people can win a copy. The title Learn German with Modern Literature is actually the title of a book. And I'll show you quickly. Oh, where's the camera? There we are. That is the book. The A little bit of background to the book. A German author called Matthias Drave has written a book about the time in West Berlin during the 1980s. And he wrote that in German. That was his, oh, where's the camera again? There's the German book, and it was called Wilde Jahre.
Good afternoon and welcome to Ask Angelika, episode 14. Good afternoon, Angelika.
Good afternoon, Stephen, and everybody else.
Right, now Angelika specialises in German tuition and translation, and this weekly show is your chance to ask questions, but first of all, we always start with a topic. And today's topic is Learn German with Modern Literature, and I'm going to take my signals from Angelika as you begin to talk about it.
Okay, well, the stories, I don't think I could show it to you. I don't think it will come across, but on the left-hand side is the English text, and on the right-hand side is the German text. Now, if you're at all interested in the early 80s in West Berlin, where a lot of houses there were a lot of squatters in the houses, and there were problems with the police, and actually, if I read the blurb here, that's probably the easiest. We are in a squatted house in West Berlin in the early 80s, in West Berlin. And because he's lived in New York for quite a long time, he's also written the book in English as well, which was then called Wild Years in West Berlin. So he then, this year, he decided this could actually be a really good teaching aid, or no, not so much a teaching aid, a learning aid. So he combined those two books and called it Learn German with Modern Literature. And it's an absolutely fantastic book because it has got both